Good afternoon, Year Fours, or good morning rather. I would like to say I am so happy to be teaching you again. I hope it's going well with all of you. I miss you so much. I would love to have you back in class, but we'll see one of these days when that will happen. I hope you are good and safe at home and that you're not driving your parents too crazy. So yes, let's start with today's lesson. We are going to review a personal recount, which you guys already did in the first term, but we did it together as a class, and now you have to do it all by yourself. So I'm going to go through the steps for you to do that. Right? Okay, to start with, when you do your recount, obviously you write your date and your heading, personal recount, on a piece of paper. I have to tell you guys, from now on, you will have to write in your own books that you maybe have bought just at Pick and Pay or so, because I have your books, all of your books. I've marked them, and no one of us knew that we're going to stay at our homes for this long. So just write in a book, nice and neatly, like you would do in the classroom. Right, so when you start your recount, you've written your date and your heading, you have to have a title. So you skip a line after the date and then you write a title. You're going to see I gave you two choices of things to write about. Either the worst day that you've had so far during the lockdown, and I was thinking you could be creative by writing about maybe a few events that happened during this time that wasn't nice, that you didn't like, as if they happened in one day. Or you can think back of a very good memory, a birthday or a celebration or an event that you loved so much and that you would remember for a really long time. Right, then orientation. So that means, what do you write about? To start with, after you've written your title, you skip a line and then you start with your introduction paragraph, where you think of who is in your recount, where were you, when did it happen, where did you go, and what was it that happened. Your introduction is just about 2 sentences, but you can pretty much say most of those things in the introduction so that your reader immediately knows what you're talking about. Then there's the slides once again, just to remind you and help you think of what to write. Okay, how do we write a recount? So after your introduction, you will then skip a line and start telling me about everything that happened in that day or at that wonderful birthday event by using the words, the transitional words, or we call them time connectives as well, where you use words like first, next, then, and then finally or lastly. Right, so you would start the next paragraph starting with first, I did this, this, and this, usually just about 2 sentences, maybe 3. Then you skip a line, and then you use the words next, this and this and this happened. You skip another line, that's also about 2 sentences. Then you write then, tell me what happened. Every time just about 2 sentences or 3 sentences. And then finally your last paragraph where you end all the things that happened. At the end of your personal recount, you have to have one sentence where you tell me how you felt about this thing that happened. This was the worst day of my life during lockdown. Or when you are writing about a happy event, you can describe how fantastic it was for you. Okay. Here I have a little summary to make to remind you of the title, orientation, the events, and the ending, the order of how things would be written during your recount. And finally, your teacher has written down exactly what it should look like when you write it in your book. Your writing nice and neat, your headings very neat, how you should skip all your lines, and you write it in your best handwriting. And last, finally, here I have an example of a recount written by a child visiting a museum. You will see in this first paragraph that she has answered all those questions that we have. I'm going to read it to you just to give you a good idea. Last Friday we went to the museum. There were 4 people in my group. We drove to the train station and caught the 8 o'clock train. When we got off the train, it was pouring with rain. So in that little paragraph of pretty much there's 4 short sentences. She told us who was there, where they were, when it was, and where they went. And then you are set to write your recount. Good luck, guys. Do your best, and I'll be seeing lots of you next week. I'll be teaching every lesson like this, and we're going to start with new work. Have a good day.